This was an incident that happened shortly into a new school year at a new teaching job. When I asked his defense attorney if they planned on appealing, he said no comment. Now, we wanted to see if there was actually a Pokemon Go gym here, so I'm going to download the app. We're going to find out. A couple clicks and one download later. And it looks like there is actually a gym right here in the Riverwalk Association. And if you need another reason to wear a life vest, you can always attach your whistle and your spare car key to it. In Norfolk, I'm Merris Badcock, News 3. Thomas says he started to notice something wasn't right when Johnson began ripping out the walls of his home. But when Johnson took the floor, that's when Thomas says he knew he'd been scammed. We were able to reach the contractor over the phone. He claims he wasn't allowed to finish the job. Just for the record, you're saying that you got fired from the job?
He fired me from the job. We did over $25 work it out.
So, I mean, it doesn't have a floor.
Well, it has a floor to get in there. He didn't let me finish.
You may pay 1/3 or even half the price, but according to police, counterfeit goods are made from cheaper materials that aren't built to last. The logo is typically skewed or crooked. The colors are off, and all sales are final. One employee tried to tell us police didn't take anything.
They made a big, huge deal over some
They really
towels,
did.
and they
Over
didn't
some
even find anything in here.
But then changed his story when we showed him a search warrant.
Oh yeah,
No.
they took t-shirts.
Oh yeah, they
They took t-shirts and
t-shirts.
hoodies.
NFL prints,
Yep,
numerous screen prints.
they did.
Police say our natural response is to say yes, but that word is what gets you into the scam. Police say scammers record your response, yes, and then claim to sign you up for products you never asked for. If you try to deny the charges, the scammers play back your verbal response, yes, and threaten to take legal action if you don't pay. In Virginia, you don't have to be a doctor or a nurse or even a police officer to buy Narcan or naloxone. I'm here at the Hampton Health Mart Pharmacy. I'm going to show you just how easy it is. 10 minutes later, with no prescription necessary, I'm able to get Narcan. I got it. This is it. This is how to use it. Just like that. Singleton has spent the majority of his time locked away here at the Nottoway Correctional Center. During that time, taxpayers have spent over $500,000 to keep Singleton incarcerated, and they'll spend well over $1 million to keep him locked away over the course of his lifetime. All of that for a man who stole a little more than $500 back in the summer of 1995. The physical fitness portion is difficult in and of itself, but a lot of times they've got to do it together, which means if somebody messes up, they've got to do it all over again. Oh boy. And this is the back side of the apartment complex where the shooting happened. You can see crime tape right up here. There's an officer standing by on this apartment. Follow me this way. I'm going to take you to the front of the crime scene. What we know so far is that a 17-year-old was shot in the back.
On News 3.
Court documents say at least 3 men helped grab this student. One even placed his arm around her neck, pulling her tightly to him, forcing her from public view to a nearby parking lot. I spoke to numerous students on campus today. All of them told me police never notified them about the violent incident. A violent crime in broad daylight, just steps from Old Dominion University. And students say they had no idea it ever happened.
It was right over there, too?
Yeah, right there.
Right.
According to court records uncovered by News 3, an ODU student claims she was scammed and then abducted at 2:30 in the afternoon. Court records say 3 men conned the student into playing a game. If she could prove she had $500 in her bank account, she could win an undisclosed amount of money. Court records say once the student withdrew the cash, that's when she was abducted. Students we spoke to say they were never notified about the incident. Hear anything about it?
No, I did not. When did it happen?
Usually send them out, but I ain't hear nothing.
Do you think an alert should have been sent out?
Yeah.
ODU police arrested and charged 3 men, Diamond Johnson, Lakeith Daniels, and Keith Jones, with robbery and abduction charges. Hearing about the crime from News 3 sparked a discussion with students on campus.
It's real, unexpected. You would think, middle of the day, police roaming around, they would catch it.
We have females in the group. We have, guys with them.
You have to look around. I see a lot of students, they walk and they in their phone. They don't know what's going on around them. So, obviously, you're a target.
Now, late this afternoon, we got a statement from ODU officials about the abduction investigation. According to a spokesperson, despite arrests being made in this case, no video or further information is being released at this time because it remains an active investigation pending prosecution. They also said because this incident did not happen on school property, they were not required to notify students. Merris, Badcock, News 3.
News 3's Merris Badcock uncovered this story today. Merris, how much money are we talking about?
Court records show that former Lieutenant Patrick Valdez is being investigated by state police after at least $2,000 went missing from funds that he was in charge of. Valdez, a man who spent at least 10 years putting criminals behind bars, could now be facing criminal charges himself. Hi, I'm looking for the Valdezes.
Sworn to serve and protect.
Are you Patrick Valdez?
A former Smithfield police officer is being investigated for allegedly living above the law. Search warrants recently filed in Isle of Wight County Court claim former Lieutenant Patrick Valdez may have stolen thousands of dollars from the Smithfield Police Department.
My name's Merris. I'm a reporter with News 3, and we're getting claims that you embezzled from the police department.
Court records say Valdez was the primary person in charge of cash used to assist in criminal investigations, money needed for things like paying off confidential informants or purchasing illegal narcotics. According to court documents, the embezzlement investigation began while Valdez was on suspension for a separate incident. That's when another officer noticed cash was missing from the Criminal Investigations Fund. We went to the former lieutenant's house. Here's what he had to say.
Do you have anything you want to say?
No.
No.
Nothing like that. No, we spoke with the state police a few months back, but I haven't heard anything since then. So.
Okay.
Court records say Valdez resigned while he was on suspension. We reached out to the Smithfield Police Department. In a statement, the police chief said, Patrick Valdez is no longer an employee of the Smithfield Police Department. This is a personnel matter and I am not at liberty to comment further. Valdez only had one thing left to say to us.
Are you okay?
Oh yeah, we're good. Thank you.
Okay.
You uncovered some interesting encounters between neighbors and that security company.
That's right. Over the past few days, I've talked to numerous people in this Riverwalk community. Now, neighbors say, some of them claim, that the citywide security guards were overly aggressive way before the shooting ever happened. A boat ramp and a clubhouse. Two areas in this Chesapeake neighborhood that used to be heavily patrolled by citywide security guards until yesterday, when the Homeowners Association canceled the contract. Canceled because a 21-year-old citywide security guard, Jonathan Cromwell, was charged with second-degree murder after allegedly shooting and killing a 60-year-old man, John Shang Chen, who lived in this Riverwalk neighborhood. Cromwell told police he pulled the trigger because he feared for his own safety.
Shocked.
The killing stunned many neighbors.
A block, from my house.
Neighbors like Marilyn Gaskins, who claims citywide security guards were pretty much non-existent.
You've seen the bulletin boards. I mean, people just didn't know that we had them. It wasn't advertised.
Unless a neighbor had a personal run-in with one. Then Gaskins says the guards went from being unnoticed to overly aggressive.
See the way he was coming at it, like his posture, his body language, it was disturbing.
Gaskins says she and a girlfriend had their own run-in with a guard in August 2015 at the boat ramp after dark.
Well, then he started coming at us, and we could see he had a gun.
Gaskins says she couldn't tell the man was a security guard at first and could only see that he was armed.
He approached us. He said, "Well, I'm security." And he didn't have anything identifying him as such. It just seemed really suspicious.
Gaskins says she went home and called police, and then the HOA to complain. But in a statement to News 3, the HOA says they have no records of any formal complaints made against the security company. But News 3 found this. Another post claiming guards approached a group of men hanging out at the boat ramp with their hands on their guns. According to a spokesperson for the neighborhood, Citywide was contracted in April 2010 for uniformed and unarmed guards. After the shooting, neighbors were given this notice and told security was suspended from the boat ramp and the clubhouse. When Gaskins heard about the shooting, she says her heart sank.
I guess almost feeling like a little bit of guilt, right? Like, geez, if I had made a bigger deal about it, a year and a half ago, maybe we wouldn't have still had armed security in this neighborhood.
I just got off the phone with the attorney representing the security guard company. Now, he tells a different story. According to Andrew Sachs, Citywide Protection Services is adamant that there is no cause for termination of the contract. Additionally, Sachs told me the contract he has between Citywide Security and the HOA calls for armed security services. However, neither Citywide or the HOA were willing to share their security contracts with us. Merris, Badcock, News 3. A security company claims they were unfairly tried in the media.
They feel like they have been unfairly painted.
After a 60-year-old Chesapeake Riverwalk resident, John Sheng Chen, was gunned down by one of their security guards, 21-year-old Jonathan Cromwell. The guard was charged with murder, and Citywide Security was fired by the Riverwalk Homeowners Association.
There have been prejudgments made about their operations, that people have assumed bias, for example, against Chinese Americans.
Chen's family says he didn't speak any English and was playing Pokemon Go that night to connect with his grandchildren. Now, the attorney representing Citywide Security, Andrew Sachs, sat down with News 3 one-on-one. He wants to be clear, Cromwell and Citywide were doing their jobs when Chen was shot.
He had been barred 10 days earlier from the same spot at night.
Sachs says no one is allowed to be at the clubhouse after sunset, and the guards had provided written notice to Chen about the rules.
Told in writing, you cannot be here. If you come back, you will be subject to arrest.
According to Sachs, Jonathan Cromwell was a registered security guard with the Virginia Department of Criminal Justice Services, which means Cromwell had the authorization to make an arrest if he saw anyone commit a crime in front of him on the property he was supposed to be protecting.
Sachs said Chen tried to flee the scene after Cromwell told him to stop.
So the security company is standing by Cromwell?
Absolutely.
Sachs sat down with us after News 3 dug deeper into how the security company was treating residents. Nick Rakeman remembered past negative run-ins, not with Jonathan Cromwell, but with other Citywide security guards.
We were kind of stopped on a corner talking, but he pulled over, kind of started questioning, what's going on, why are you all here? We're kind of just like, we're outside, man, relax.
But according to both the HOA and Sachs, in the 7 years Citywide patrolled the neighborhood, there was never one formal complaint made. After Chen's death, the HOA told News 3 they hired Citywide for unarmed security services. But Sachs says the contract he has shows Riverwalk requested armed security guards. Neither the HOA or Sachs were willing to share their contracts with us. But even without showing us the documentation, Citywide's attorney believes Cromwell will be exonerated.
And as sad as it is that it was a necessary use of force, this person should not wear a scarlet letter for the rest of their life for doing what the law allowed them to do.
Enjoying the freedom of recent retirement, 67-year-old Fred Brooks, a retired Navy flight commander living in Virginia Beach, was looking forward to tutoring his grandson before his sudden death in February. We've learned Brooks' death sparked a criminal investigation against this woman, Debbie Sears Hill, leading detectives to Summerville, South Carolina, and to the death of another man 23 years before. As a chief petty officer in the Navy, Thomas Ivan Hill lived to serve his country until 1993, when he died suddenly. The coroner ruled his death suicide by antifreeze.
It's a very painful death. Your kidneys actually shut down once the antifreeze crystallizes in it, and you die a painful death.
In an exclusive interview with News 3, Coroner Bill Salisbury says Berkeley County authorities are now taking a second look at Hill's death because of the woman he was married to at the time, Debbie Sears Hill. She's the same woman who was with Fred Brooks when he died.
I've been contacted by several law enforcement agencies, one from Virginia Beach, also our local authorities here in Berkeley County, and also some federal law enforcement agencies.
Sears Hill is now at the center of a multi-state criminal investigation.
This is the Holiday Inn in Summerville, South Carolina, where Thomas Hill was found unresponsive back in March 1993. Now, according to this coroner's report, Thomas Hill was staying at the Holiday Inn because he was preparing for a Navy transfer to Portsmouth, Virginia. Additionally, the report also says Hill suffered from depression and previous suicide attempts, but the report never lists where it got any of that information.
Was it from Sears Hill or from actual medical records? The coroner won't say.
Things change, and some information has come forward that they didn't know at the time.
And then there's this other lawsuit from another family in West Virginia, which was settled out of court. News 3 uncovered these court documents, which allege in 2014, Sears Hill may have forged the estate plan of her own brother, Darwin Sears, to gain control of his estate. Fast forward to April 2016, when police raided the late Fred Brooks' Virginia Beach home in search of a suspicious powder, after a civil lawsuit filed by Brooks' 3 children alleged Sears Hill poisoned Brooks to gain control of his estate. A week later, police surprised Sears Hill at the home she shared with Brooks and searched her car. We were there too.
Is there anything you want the public to know?
Additionally, the lawsuit claims Sears Hill forged Brooks' signature. Here is Brooks' signature, and here is a signature the family says is forged. We asked legal analyst Scott Alprin to take a look at the case file.
I learned this from working with a handwriting expert. When you sign your name, at various points in the signature, you'll have different amount of pressure. Through the use of magnification, you can tell where a person's darker parts are of the signature and lighter parts, and it's typically consistent from signature to signature if it's original.
Sears Hill denies all of the allegations, and she has not been arrested or charged in any case. But with investigations now in several states, the families hope for answers soon. Merris Badcock, News 3.